Dr. Scott Storrie from Ancient Healing Wisdom. I have a practice, Boulder, Colorado. I've been practicing medicine for 40 years. My original training was as a nutritionist, then I became a chiropractor. Then I embraced Japanese acupuncture, visceral manipulation, lymph drainage, functional medicine, different forms of movement, and other things to allow the body to heal. I do integrate Urchonia cold laser, OnDemand, which is pulsed electromagnetic frequency, and that also is run through a battery. And then I just added a stem wave, which is shockwave therapy, to regenerate the body, stimulate stem cell circulation. So these different forms of energetic medicine have been integrated in addition to all the other medicines that I do. Every form of medicine has its framework, and in that, they think they know the whole world, but it's really not the whole world. So I embrace and integrate all these different forms of medicine, and then I have to take this new medicine and bring it back into my world of health and figure out how to treat the body, how to balance it out, and find a place for this new reservoir of information, well-being, and knowledge. My original exposure to the concern about this was Jeff Garcia on YouTube, and it's about cell phones and cancer. He gave YouTube as a district attorney because they have to keep it on there, they can't destroy it, as a government presentation. First, he had cancer in his hand where he held his cell phone. Now, this is the old 3G phone, and then it went to 4G and 5G. This is a problem. Every time they go up 1G, the bandwidth, the frequency shortens. It doesn't travel as far, but it means more radiation to your brain, more radiation to your hands. So old school DA on the phone all the time. He developed nerve cancer in his hand, so he had to have surgery. Then they discovered brain tumor, stage 4, in his brain where he held the phone up to his hand, or up to his head. And then when they did a PET scan, they found that he always kept it in the left-hand pocket of his jacket. And guess what? He had a tumor in the nerve plexi over his heart. He was basically in the end stage of his life, and that's when he did the presentation. And when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, this is so concerning. That actually is how I got into it. But ever since the beginning, I've been recommending that my patients find EMF protection that works. Check out your research. We do the muscle testing. And I just feel it's essential for everybody on the planet. If you look at the stages of blood, everyday use, 5 minutes of EMF exposure, and then you look at with EMF protection, what you see is that most people are hypercoagulated. Their blood cells are too thick, they're too close together, they don't circulate well, which is why heart attack and stroke are the number 1 and 3 cause of death in America. So if I can have a device that will, with the bioresonance and the biophotons, help me to thin my blood, because that was the beautiful thing is, here you are normal, here you are with your wireless device or your router or whatever, and then here you are with your protection on, your EMF support, that your blood is actually thinner wearing this device than it was when you started. So you can see that being exposed to EMFs causes serious circulatory issues and will exacerbate whatever you have. And then if you actually thin the blood by just wearing this, your circulation improves, so you can exercise better, shortens your recuperation time, you have more mental endurance, you feel better, and at the end of the day, you'll have more energy. We turn the router on, we turn the cell phone on, and instantly all of us go into hypervigilance. So the saliva becomes acidic, and the importance of that is that when your saliva gets acidic, the body's looking for minerals. It wants to buffer the pH of the lymph. Where does it go? To your biggest mineral reserve, your bone. What's one of the epidemics in our culture? Osteoporosis. If you're stressed out because you're on your cell phone, you're going to become even more acidic. So you're more likely to have osteoporosis. The heart rate goes up, the blood pressure goes up, the pupil starts to oscillate. So we all start demonstrating sign of chronic stress and exhaustion. But then as soon as all the protection's back on, you start to notice changes in people's pulses. Their blood pressure comes down, their blood glucose comes down, their heart rate comes down, the pH of their saliva changes. So all the changes say that they're going more to the anabolic state of parasympathetic rest, digest, repair, and not spending so much time in the catabolic state of basically digest yourself, fight and flight. And if you live in that state of fight flight all the time, then the body, it can't repair. It just breaks down. So more osteoporosis, more arthritis, more hypertension, diabetes, all the conditions that are prevalent in our society. When you see the HRV, the heart rate variability monitor, and what it does, it's really good feedback. And what I found was, when you look at how the heart beats, and there should be a variability to it, most people as they age, if you're not eating well, you're not exercising, you're stressed, and you get EMF exposure, what happens is the heart becomes rigid. The beats become rigid, and you lack that variability, that flexibility that says, I'm gonna live a long, healthy life. And so you get to see how the average person has very little heart coherence. Under the stress of EMF for 5 minutes, it goes even lower. And then with the EMF protection, it actually, I think it was maybe 10 times stronger. So you actually get this variability, and that variability says, I'm resilient, I'm healthy, I have reserves. There's a study out there, it's called Dandelions versus Orchids. 85% of our culture is in a dandelion. They don't even notice anything that happens to them. You can show them the research. If they're smart, they'll listen, but they really don't notice anything. 15% are the orchids. They're very sensitive. I have patients that are so sensitive, if they eat inorganic chicken, they're gonna get a yeast infection. And so they also notice that they get brain fog if they don't have the EMF protection on. They get the anxiety, or their blood pressure goes up. And so people start to notice the physiologic effect of the adrenaline and the cortisol if they don't have some harmony in their world and protect their biosphere, their bioenergetic body from that which is everywhere. It affects us all, and you feel it, you don't feel it, but it still shows up on the lab test. It shows up on the heart rate variability monitor. It shows up in your physiology, your autonomic nervous system. It shows up everywhere. So 100% across the board, we're all affected by it. Just 85% or so of the people are the dandelions. They don't know it, but the 50% of the orchids are like, thank God it's here, we need it. I found Fred Van Loo. He had the little E-tag and little adventuring pendant. And so that's back for the old flip phone, you know, or you had a pager. And then as the phones have progressed, that didn't work. Then I went to Mimon. Mimon worked better. But then every time you went to the i2, i3, i4, it wasn't working as well. So then I discovered EMF Harmony. And that took it to a whole new level. It was pretty amazing. When the cell phones started getting stronger and stronger, the Fred Van Loo and the Mimon and some of the other products, they didn't work anymore, or they were just less effective. So by using muscle testing, taking pulses, looking at the HRV, I started to notice a declining benefit. So EMF Harmony comes on the scene, and all of a sudden, the bioresonance protection is unlike anything else I've ever seen. And so other people will bring something in from the internet and will muscle test them side by side. It still comes back as the best product on the market. And so that's why I use it. And that's why it's on my house, my car, it's in my office. I use it personally. And so basically I charge our supplements with it when they all come in. Everything that comes in, including the EMF Harmony products, they get to sit on the charger to basically energize them to their fullest potential, release any negative energy of somebody along the way that touched it or was with it or whatever. So basically, once it came on the market, it's my go-to. And periodically, people bring in these little fancy woo-woo ones with super charged crystals or whatnot, and they still don't hold up. It's nothing short of a miracle. So I flew to take a seminar on endocrinology to San Diego. I get in a Prius, which is a hybrid. And I'm noticing that when I go uphill, I feel pretty good. When we go downhill and the battery starts to rejuvenate, I start feeling really uncomfortable. And mind it, I've got my EMF protection on. I was good on the airplane. I'm not good in the car. So every time we went up and we went down, I got worse. I started feeling anxiety, exhaustion, fatigue, really stagnated, circulation impaired. I get out of the car and I get to see Dr. Borkin, and he goes, you don't look very good. And I'm like, I don't feel very good at all. He goes, you look great. And I said, well, I was just in a hybrid car. And I said, it's not even a full electric. And I said, it totally hosed me. And he goes, well, let's go treat you. So he treated me and I felt better. But after that, whenever a taxi pulls up, I go for the non-hybrid version, something that gets good gas mileage, but does not alter my energetics, because I'm a bioenergetic being. Everything that happens in my body, from a cellular replication to my brain function to a muscle contraction, it's a whole package, but the EMF protection is an important part of the package. A young man who's 35 years old keeps his cell phone on all the time, keeps it in his right pocket. He develops testicular cancer. Now, all reproductive tissue is extremely responsive to EMFs because it has to be sensitive to hormones, so it's also sensitive to EMFs. So he develops stage 4 testicular cancer. Which testicle do you think it was? The one that he had his cell phone on all the time. So they removed the right testicle. He still has his left one. So I explained to him why he developed at 35 years old testicular cancer when that cancer doesn't run in his family. And having the cell phone all the time was actually changing the nature of the cell reproduction, the DNA. It was thickening the blood, the lymph was backing up. So I told him that he can check his phone every hour, get back to everyone. He can let them know, I only check my phone every hour or two, so don't expect to get a call back right away. And then I had 2 women, both in their teens, and they do that whole, phone in the butt pocket thing, and they keep it on all the time because they want to know who's calling them and what it's about. They both developed ovarian cysts. Now, the ovary, like the testicle, is very sensitive to EMFs. It's very sensitive to hormones, electrical input. So again, we have the talk. Turn your cell phone off. When you turn it on, check your messages, turn it off, put it on, airplane mode, turn your Bluetooth off so you have no issue. What I realized was, on further testing, is that the EMF Harmony does a great job of supporting my body and protecting me. But then upon further investigation, everybody else had one that just made their life a little bit better, harmonized their energy a little bit more, relaxed their nervous system a little bit more. So you get more of the brakes, less of the gas. So by using the EMF protection and the bioresonance, we get back to that cortisol management, getting your parasympathetic to come up, sympathetic to come down. We want to lower your heart rate. We want to improve digestion and assimilation. We want to improve circulation. So the bioresonance, from my own testing, my own experience, and the HRV and all the other reading that I've done, is that it's an essential part of being healthy on this planet and being a well person who's resourced. And as you age, you're less likely to have Alzheimer's, dementia, fibromyalgia, circulatory disorders, and things like that.